David Pugh, I believe the caption's Clico versus
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up.
Sam+sansing.
Mr. Myron Lawson, were you deposed by Mr. Chris.Roy Jr. or jacques+roy?
In my deposition, I don't know who did the deposing, but certainly was present. I think the deposition, I asked for a copy of it because I was unclear on it, but I know the conversations involved that of the mayor as it relates to Clico and Energy Management Services and the audit of the Clico. I think the issue was, should Clico have the right to refuse either EMS or, I guess, sam+sansing from having the right to audit their books?
Okay. Mr. Goins.
Mr. Guest, quick
Yes.
question. Isn't it true that the suit by Clico against EMS and the consultant sam+sansing arose due to the fact that the city filed suit against Clico?
No, sir, that's not correct.
They're independent of each other?
Yes, sir. That suit was filed by Clico way before the city filed its suit. EMS was hired, I believe, in the spring of '04. The lawsuit was filed by Clico against those principals shortly thereafter. We did not file our suit until, I believe, June of 2005. The depositions that we're talking about were actually taken sometime after that, but at the same time, Mr. Jacques+Roy, not only was he not the mayor when the depositions were taken, I believe it was if I'm not mistaken, about a year before he even ran for the office.
Did the mayor ever withdraw from that case?
Yes, sir.
And why?
He withdrew because he had been elected mayor of the city of Alexandria.
When was he sworn in and when did he withdraw?
I don't know the exact dates, but it was approximately sometime in early December, and he withdrew in January or February.
You don't think that's a bit strange if he was sworn on the 5th and then he withdrew in February?
No, sir, because he had an ethical obligation to represent Mr. Sansing until such time as Mr. Sansing could either obtain additional counsel or until such time as Mr. Sansing relieved him from his employment.
Okay. Did the mayor take a trip to Orlando in January 2007?
I don't know about that. I gathered that from your declaration. I wasn't involved.
So you wouldn't know whether or not he took a, but if he took a trip to on 07, he was representing two people at the same time. Wouldn't you say that?
No, sir, I wouldn't say that. Because at some point he withdrew from representing Mr. Sansing, and he never represents the city of Alexandria as an attorney. He was an officer of the city of Alexandria.
But when he became mayor, he was the chief executive officer in Alexandria. Immediately when he became mayor, when he was still representing Mr. Sansing at the same time. You don't see that correlation?
Mr. Sansing has never had a contract with the city of Alexandria, Mr. Larvadain.
No, but I'm saying that the mayor was elected December 5th, 06. That's who was sworn in that day.
Yes, sir, and he could have represented other people.
But listen, just listen to my question. At that time, he became engulfed with all the Clico litigation. He was representing two people at the same time. You don't see that's a conflict? No, you don't. No, that's it.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Goins.
I'll wrap this up. Mr. Gates, you just stated that Mr. sam+sansing never had a contractual relationship with the city of Alexandria.
Mr. Sam+sansing has never had, to my knowledge, I've looked, he does not have a contract with the city of Alexandria. And he, according to the only person that owns EMS, Mr. David Pugh, Mr. Sansing does not have and has not had an interest in EMS.
Is EMS a consultant for the city of Alexandria?
EMS has a contract with the city of Alexandria.
Does sam+sansing have a relationship with EMS?
You'd have to talk to Mr. David Pugh. Mr. Pugh, to paraphrase his testimony, he was going to go get Mr. Sansing, who has some audit background, to work with EMS, but that's been a principal contention in the Clico suit against Mr. Pugh. But to our knowledge, Mr. Sansing has never been a contractor for the city of Alexandria.
But Mr. Sansing works for Mr. Pugh, is that correct?
Well, he worked for Mr. Pugh originally in his KJA.
Does he still work at this time?
I don't know that. I don't know anything about Mr. Sansing's business.
So is your testimony that EMS has a contract with the city with David Pugh, but you're not sure whether or not Sansing has a relationship with EMS.
I have no knowledge regarding what Mr. Sansing's relationship at the present time.
If I told you that EMS comprised of David Pugh and Sam Sansing, would that be accurate or inaccurate?
That'd be inaccurate according to the testimony, sworn testimony, under cross-examination by David Pugh. And to my knowledge, CLECO hasn't disclosed any additional information.
Any other comments, Mr. Silver?
Yeah, first, this is not a trial. I assume it's not a trial. We're just talking
We
about.
got a bunch of lawyers talking.
No, sir, but I think some of this needed to be clarified.
Second question, when you initially set up your alleged allegations, I might say you, Jonathan, and I were not even involved in this thing. In fact, before you fellows were on, these people had a case against the mayor about 2 years ago. I think a couple of us was withdrawn because we thought it was inappropriate or unnecessary, and I think it was declared that way on appeal, was upheld. But in your allegation, are you speaking as a member of the council, one that became the council involved, or are you speaking as an individual?
As the council, I think once it comes to our attention, I think we have an obligation to investigate and to find out whether or not there's a conflict or not. Now, if there's no conflict, then we don't worry about it. But when people bring it to our attention, we have to address it. We just can't ignore it.
Well, now, along that same line, any individual who feels that there is something wrong has a right and should have exercised that right to bring an action against the mayor. That's number one. Number two, I would hate to think, in view of the comments I've heard from the mayor himself and from other people and the ethics committee, that he would dare jeopardize his legal and political career by some things that were not properly done. I just have that feeling. But with that in mind, I think that you brought out certain things, and I think that I don't know what your sources of information are, but I think as if you wanted to involve us, I don't want to be a party to it. But as an individual, if you know somebody who wants to do it, then I think that would be appropriate, and I think you should ferret that out and have it done. We get the information. I think the court will take care of itself, and we don't have to become involved.
Thank you. Mr. Goins, please.
Mr. Lawman, as a member of this committee and based on what I've heard today, I move that this committee acquire additional information at this time and perform an investigation into the matter and bring a report back to the full council.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I want to stop as a point of order. You have to stop and see this point of order.
I'm not sure that a committee of the council can make an investigation. I think the entire council can, but I don't think a committee can.
I think the legal committee can.
Don't believe so.
At this point, you're still gathering information,
That's all we're doing.
whether it's as a committee or whether it's as individuals. I think you can gather the information. Whether you can come with a ruling or not, on behalf of council, I certainly would question that. I don't think you're suggesting that this committee is going to make a ruling.
No,
But
we're
if this
still
committee
in the
continues-
fact-finding process, no.
So, Mr. Gist, you want to, is
Mr.
it something that's prohibiting them from
No,
gathering facts?
when this issue came up, shortly after the mayor came into office, the president of the council asked me about it and asked me to talk to the Board of Ethics. I spoke to Kathleen Allen, who at the time was the assistant general counsel under Grace Sexton. Since that time, Ms. Kathleen Allen is now the chief attorney for the Board of Ethics. I discussed it with Ms. Allen, and she indicated at the time I talked to her that she did not think there was any ethical problem for the mayor to have been engaged with Mr. Sansing.
Show us, do you have a document to show?
I talked to her. Well, I don't think it's funny, Mr. Larbadane. When I was asked to talk to her, she said that there was nothing there that she found that was any problem.
I think if he would accept an
Okay.
amended resolution, if I
I think
may,
we need to investigate the matter.
perhaps we might suggest that a letter be written just to confirm that which the city attorney had mentioned, and that may render the thing moot. It doesn't hurt.
I think we need to do, like Mr. Goins said, I think we at least do some more fact-finding, and then from there we can turn to the agencies and look into it. I've got a motion by Mr. Goins. Do I have a second?